Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsyreplays. Welcome back to the channel and another top 5 for you today. This time we've got the top 5 tanks that you will not do damage in. Of course, you could do damage in, but this is going by statistics. So it's the top 5 lowest average damage tanks in tier 10. And again, it doesn't mean that you're not going to do damage in these tanks. The likelihood of you doing damage, you know, is probably quite high. But statistically speaking, these are the tanks that does less damage in tier 10, at least for the last update. So coming in at number 5, it is the 121B. Average damage of 1760 over the last update. You know, that's pretty low. I mean, for an average, that is going across like everybody doing that damage. So from the 5th tank to the 1st tank, there's only just over 100 difference damage, like 120 damage difference from tank number 5 to tank number 1, like the lowest. Yeah, they're all pretty close. But the 121B is down there. It's down there. You know, I'm not saying it is the worst medium tank in tier 10, but you know, I think it's close. It definitely is close. So tank number 5, the 121B at 1760 average damage. Moving on to tank number 4. Tank number 4, we move over to the light tank. It is the T100, just 20 less than the 121B. So actually it's doing worse than the 121B. Now, 1740 average damage. To be fair, I thought this would be a lot more. Now, I know it got nerfed a while ago, and I think if it didn't get nerfed, this would probably be, I think, one of the highest average damage tanks when it comes to light tanks. But right now, it is the lowest average light tank in tier 10, meaning it's probably the lowest in the game. Well, in tier 10, sorry. So, yeah, I like the T100. I think the T100 light is a fantastic tank, but clearly it's not performing in tier 10, or people are not doing damage. Doesn't mean people are losing, but yeah, people are not doing damage in this tank. It's got fantastic DPM for a light tank, and you know what, I thought it would be a lot better than it, or I thought it'd be doing a lot better than it is. But right now, yeah, it is the 4th lowest tank in the game. Of course, or in tier 10. Of course, it's got no armor profile, so you're not going to bounce too much. But I still enjoy the tank, and it is a tank that you can actually do damage. So yeah, don't listen to stats. Stats are not telling the truth. I like the T100. It is a fantastic tank. But yeah, clearly people are not doing damage in this tank. Moving on to tank number 3. Now, tank number 3 is a heavy tank. We move over to the heavy tanks only for a short period of time. But yeah, it's a heavy tank that I'm not surprised at, to be fair. Of course, it is the Object 260. Now, this is the average damage of 1,730. So it's 3rd in the list, but only 30 more damage than the 5th one, the best one in this list. So yeah, 1,730 average damage. Don't forget, this is only over the last update. So when we do this video again next month, it may be the best. That's the exciting, or that's the good thing about stats. You know, they go up and down. They go up and down. They change all the time. So the lowest average tanks in the next update could be completely different, and these tanks could actually be at the top. But currently 3rd. You know, 3rd at the worst amount of damage, or the tank that's 3rd in the list for the least amount of average damage. But again, I'm not surprised. People don't perform that well in the Object 260. It's an okay tank, but you know, when it first come out, I actually generally loved the tank. Now I'm just like, yeah, it's okay, but nothing too special. You can do damage. I mean, we're going to end on, I think, just over 4k damage, or near 4k damage. It is going to be a loss, but we got it pretty easy, to be fair. We did manage to get that damage pretty easy. The DPM, I think, for a heavy tank is pretty okay. You know, it's not the best, but it's okay. So yeah, it's sitting at number 3. So moving on to number 2. And we have yet again another medium. 2 mediums in this list, 1 light tank in this list. It is of course the Object 140. Now I do like the Object 140. I just have felt sorry for it over the years, because you have tanks like the 907, the T22 medium, then you have the T62 that have all been just it's like they've been given love. And then you have the Object 140 that's not really changed over the years. Like, it's actually been made worse over the last sort of 5 to 7 years, and it's never really been given that love, whereas the T62 has just been given love after love. Now the average damage on this is just 1700 average damage, so for the DPM that this tank has got, I mean, you could do that in half a minute, you could do that in 30 seconds with the DPM that this tank has got. You just need, you know, even if you rush in and you're one-on-one with another tank, you will do more than that average damage that it is doing. So yeah, I'm not surprised that the Object 140 being in the list, but you know, I think people can do better in the tank. So 1700 damage, it isn't that much at all. So that then leaves us on to the lowest average tank in tier 10 right now. So if you would have asked me a couple of years ago what I think the worst performing tank, almost the worst performing tank in tier 10 would be, I would never say the IS-4. The IS-4 has always been a fantastic tank, especially for the newbies, you know, because it had the armor profile, it had the speed, it's got a very nice turret, it's got, like I said, the armor profile in general, the DPM, the speed, you know, everything really about the tank made for a fantastic first time tier 10 tank. Those of you that are sort of just joining the game, the IS-4 was sort of one of them tanks to go to learn, you know, because you can afford to make mistakes, because the armor profile would help you. You would get bounces. I'd never have thought in a million years that we'd be sitting here now saying, like, people are just not performing well in this tank. They are performing shit. And at 1640 average damage, it is the worst in tier 10 for the last update. Like, it's not even a light tank, you know, like the Batchat or the Sheridan or a Death Star that people tend to not really do much with, maybe one shot, or other tanks like, you know, the Grill or the FV405 or even the TVP. These tanks I thought would be there down the bottom because some people are not good at playing them, and they are like very difficult tanks to play. The IS-4, yes, it's not as good as it once was, but it's not a tough tank to play, and you can sometimes afford to do mistakes. But yeah, considering it's doing better than the Object 140, the 121B, sorry, considering it's doing the 140 and the 121B are doing better than the IS-4, really goes to show just how this tank is just not doing it right now. Whether Wargaming will look at it in the future, I don't know. I think they should. I think they should make it one of those tanks that people want to go to for their first tier 10. But yeah, 1640 average damage for the last update is not a lot at all. Again, doesn't mean that you can't perform well in the tank. Of course, you can perform well in any of these tanks in the list. But yeah, the worst tank so far is the IS-4. But again, as I said, come the next update, this could be the best. It could be the best. That is the fun with statistics. Now, those of you that, you can't say jack shit because I'm just going by statistics. So, going by statistics, these 5 tanks are 5 tanks you should not play if you want to get your average damage up. So, I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69, and I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.